we'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters. Hey everybody, Pete and I are sitting here. We have bad news. Joanne did not make it. But that's not what she normally looks like. It's really sad.
I know. I bet she's more active, but yeah, she's even slow to move around and interact. She's usually pretty friendly, like she'll come up to you and things like that.
I'm following your lap.
Yeah.
Trying to see if this is her with the male, maybe.
Hi, Mama, you gonna let me listen to you? Oh, she did get just a little bit of drool and spit just now. Oh, you stressing? You got nasal discharge. She's not crazy. Hey, can I have a Q-tip, please? Yeah. Really quick. I don't really like that.
There's blood underneath.
Yeah.
There's blood. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Mama.
Oh God.
Let me take this in here.
There's blood under her chin.
An oral discharge as well, as I know, because I watched it. But so this is her right now. What I'm seeing here, I'll tell you, is there is a cavitated mass here in her abdomen, and unfortunately, I did put an ultrasound probe on her as well. She's got free fluid in her coelomic cavity. I can't tell you if it's blood or not, but I'm assuming if she is kind of having that kind of hemorrhaging right now, that is what we might be dealing with too.
So what were you saying that mass was? That
It's a multi-cavitated mass, meaning there's pockets of fluid all around in it itself. So, yeah.
We can't tell if there were eggs that went bad or...
There's no distinct structures.
Yeah, we're not seeing any haze of any eggs or anything.
No. And I believe a lot of this is, I believe this is her, basically her liver spleen, because basically what happens is you see the normal structure and it goes to this.
So do you think that's like fatty liver? I mean, she was never like an obese animal, but...
I think this is a tumor. Yeah. Because the extent of it is what kind of worries me too, because of the way that it's showing. And it's irregular. She let me do the ultrasound, so I have that video to show you, but there's pockets of free fluid everywhere, which is probably why. I can't tell you if it's GI perf or not, because there's a lot of material in the way. And so I think a lot of this haziness that we normally don't see, this is her lung space, which is really clear, but the fact that there's a very large, it should almost be down here, as to why she's not been eating or feeling well.
And it's just eating away at her.
Yeah. Could be causing blood in her abdomen or some of the cavity, like a hemoabdomen. Or it could be part of her gastric wall or something, because it's coming out through her nose and her mouth.
Yeah.
Gastric neuroendocrine tumor. So, the problem is with these, usually they're not resectable, only because of the fact that they're so adhered to the
They're so
organ
tough.
system. Yeah.
They're so tough.
I know. Oh, you don't have to pull her apart. I will have her face me though. Okay, Alrighty, Mama. What's your hands?
Where do you want me?
I'll hold this here. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
No resistance from I guess to like say what's been going on the past couple weeks. Before I moved the blackthroats to the new location, all 3 blackthroats that were at the Jupiter residence all were off food a little bit or eating lighter. Blackbeard, Jane, and Joanne. And there are 3 more that are displaced at friends' houses right now until I can get enclosures done. And when I moved them to the Okeechobee house, they were already eating light, not their usual selves. And I figured it was maybe dismantling the cages around them was stressing them out. And they came here and they were all a little off food. I think Joanne was totally off, and I think Jane was totally off. But within 2 weeks, Jane and Blackbeard started eating lightly, and then Blackbeard kicked into full gear. And they all... The problem that made it confusing was the mating. So there was mating with Blackbeard and Jane, which in case the door was open and those 2 were together. And then he was obsessing with Joanne's enclosure, and then he was obsessing to get in there. So I gave Jane a break, and then he was mating with Joanne. And the food disappearing gets a little clouded when there's 2 animals together. You know that you're putting enough food for 2 animals, and you see it disappearing, and you try to put it in front of one, but if one's the more aggressive eater, you know, I think I shared in videos where I would try and lure him into the other enclosure to see if the female ate, but then, you know, the door would get opened, and you just kind of put it off to that behavior. Them going through periods of gaining weight and having fat on them and then burning through that fat's always kind of been a normal process for them. When, you know, Joanne has cycled, mated, gained weight, lost weight so many times between John, Shrek, and then now Blackbeard, but she's never put eggs in the ground. She's always dug and stopped, and then all that swelling is there, and then it kind of slowly disappears, and we've always put it off that maybe she's reabsorbing those eggs, but I don't know. She had Pete and I are gonna go find a place to bury her here on the property. I purchased an avocado tree to plant there to kind of, I don't know, like represent where she is and what she meant. Not gonna get upset. I was upset yesterday when we had to put her down. That was not easy. If an animal falls asleep and passes in its sleep, it's sad, but to like be there when they euthanize your animal is it's something else. I mean, it's a lot for a dog. I had to do that once with the dog, but I didn't expect it to be so emotional. You know, I'd always said that like John was my favorite blackthroat because he's the one that I've had owned the longest, but really in the amount of time that I had Joanne, she never hissed at me. She never tail whipped at me. She was always a sweet lizard. So it was sad. It really was. So in the tractor bucket, I have a fairly mature avocado tree that should fruit for us this year. And I have Joanne is wrapped in the burlap here. And since in planting weeds in the yard, we got to find a good place for the tree where it's gonna do well. At the other property, I have gosh, 2 pets buried, represented by plants, and I got to figure a way to dig up those plants and get them over here because I just want to keep them with me. I love my pets and I love my my fruit trees. So if you remember correctly, the front of the enclosures all the way to that fence line, we are going to cross fence the property, and oof, that was a little close to my face. Everything back here is going to be for the animals, and I plan on doing like the chicken coop and the turkeys and everything along here, probably backed up to these, I think they're cedar trees, backed up to these trees. And why not create some shade for them? I was really excited about this property and the fact that it didn't have trees to create so much shade, because I was always fighting for sunlight at the other property. But over here, I think I need more shade for the animals. I know that I want, I mean, there's some smaller fruit trees, but then there's some bigger ones. I do have room along the fence, but I don't think I want this on the fence. I think I want this just out here in the yard, maybe where it doesn't quite fight with this oak tree for sun. So maybe over here somewhere. I think this spot right here might be good. I'll drive the tractor over, mark it with a shovel, and stand back so you guys can see, and then I'll get to digging. I heard something like an afternoon storm was coming in, but I don't know. I think we'll get this done, and I may go paint cabinets inside and just do some inside work today. Yeah. I think someone commented recently, a couple people have, that I'm always thinking, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed about the process of trying to figure out breeding. I wouldn't mind getting into some more difficult species, so there's more problem solving, because I do enjoy solving problems and figuring things out. I think the spot that I had picked was like right here, and in one of the last videos we talked about grading the property. Well, the grass area is the high spot, this is the low spot. So when a bobcat or a tractor with a box blade comes and drags dirt across the property, why would I plant something in the low spot that's going to get a couple more inches of dirt and get disturbed? I should plant it where it's already high and to the area that we want to grade. Like, we want this to be our level. That's going to get 2 inches of dirt or something on it to try and make this a little more smooth and not have areas where the water can puddle back here. And then hopefully grade it slightly off to drain to our swales. We have a swale on both sides of this triangle. It should evacuate the water quite easily. So I'm going to plant it over here. And it's an avocado tree. I plan on having at least 2 different types here, and a couple mangoes, star fruit, I know loquats, jackfruit. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I got to make sure that it can handle this temperate zone. I know it's slightly colder than Jupiter, so we definitely have to be careful of what we put here, and I know that it's going to survive here. Otherwise there's no point in digging it and fertilizing it and watering it if it's not going to do well. But I'm going to start digging this. So our hole is dug, and you see I left a deeper spot there, and she should curl up nicely in that spot underneath our tree. Let me get set up to do that. Okay, it's nestled in there. Now I've got to wrestle this tree out of the pot by myself and get it in the ground. All right, we're done. It's a nice avocado tree in the ground. Once it's watered in and has no air on its roots, we should start seeing some new sprouts on the tips. Once I know it's established and starting to grow well, we'll trim off these lower branches so this tree doesn't waste too much energy down below and grows up, because we need it, well, above the riding lawnmower ASAP, so the riding lawnmower can go around it. Now there's something in the yard that we'll always remember her by. I'm not a good person with sadness, and I don't have a lot, what's the word for it? A lot of room left for sadness right now, so let's move on to something possibly happier. Jane, same day I rushed Joanne to the vets, laid 2 slugs in her enclosure. They are horrible looking eggs, but that means that she was, enclosure's locked. What I'm gonna do is change the battery on the GoPro. All right, so today is the day after, and I tried multiple times yesterday and again twice this morning. There's Jane right there in her lay box, and I cannot tell you how hard it is to try and pull her out, and I don't want to make it any more stressful than I already have. At one point I did see an egg in there with her, so it's like, I don't know, she's like laying the eggs and she hasn't backfilled it, but it's not time yet. I'm not gonna like dig her out when she's in her lay box and totally stress her out. It is what it is. I'm gonna wait until, well, I'm gonna feed them today, so if she comes out to eat, I'll put the food close to her hide, and when I have her out of the hide box, I'll run over, out of her lay box, and I will run over, grab her, and board her into her hide box, and then dig this whole lay box up and try and find what eggs, if any good ones, are in there. So, to be continued. Okay, it's 2 days later, and Jane has finally abandoned the lay box. You can see she's very thin for a black throat monitor, but that's a lot of times what the females look like after they've laid. She is eyeballing me. So right in this area is where the hole is that she laid the eggs, and she's filled it in to a point where you can't even tell she had all those tunnels dug in there. She's got it all smoothed out. So now I need to get these dug up. I've got my mom here, but she's filling some waters in the front yard, so I need her to get back here. I don't want Jane to go back into the lay box area and make it stressful. I'd rather her stay exactly where she is. So try and do this without stressing her out. All right, that was 20-ish eggs that were all slugs. I really wanted to end this video on a good note, but I mean, as bad as those eggs look, it's the first time in the last couple breeding sessions with Jane that she actually put the eggs in the ground where she needed to. That could have been late coupling with her and Blackbeard, or the extreme temperatures, or something. Either it looks like they weren't fertilized or she held on to them too long. I'm thinking they weren't fertilized, so I might have paired them just a little late. That's why they only made it a couple times and then stopped. And I think that's when Blackbeard went with Joanne. I think the only good news is Joanne will be remembered here, and I think the first name plaque that I do here, I think I may do a plaque for Joanne and John that we lost this year, and maybe put the plaques on a post by this tree so we can remember them. And I have a couple plants at the other property from other animals I've lost. My dog before Pete, I planted a tree in the yard. I need to sneak that out and take it over here. And I do mean sneak. I don't know if I'm supposed to be pulling plants out of the ground when my house is listed or not, but I will. There's other good stuff happening here, but I think all that's for other videos. So I think this is all part of it. All right, guys, until next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you soon.